Howdy, folks. Welcome back to the Shadow and Sun Show, and welcome to something a little different. We thought we'd try this out. Our good buddy Jade needed the night off, so that gave us time to prepare for a little painting. Not that we don't, or at least I don't paint
I
pretty
see the title.
regularly. You like that, huh?
I did not know you were going to do that.
Well, I know my son, and he's finally on summer vacation, and so tonight we thought we'd have a little dueling Terrasques. He's got one, I got one, and we're both gonna, paint and chat with you folks, and
I'm going to be completely honest. Been a long time since I've painted anything.
Yeah, it literally has. He put his. We put his trash together months ago, as you probably remember, and I got a little tired of waiting for him to finish painting. So I not only did I order one, got it in the mail, put it together, did the same sort of zenithal highlighting and bare minimums of doing some gray on the base, waiting for him to have the time to paint with you folks at home. And I'm like, you know what? Jay's not doing the show on Gatekeepers tonight. Let's do something. Let's I don't know, dueling Terrasques. Rawr. I love this freaking miniature, and I was just so jealous when he was sitting there, painting along last month, a couple of months ago, and so
I think it was last year that I painted.
I don't. Could it really have been 5 months? Oh God, say it isn't so. So I don't know what he's got down there in the way of paints. What colors did you pick?
I picked. It starts with an M, but that's all I can read. This one starts with a U, and this one ends with an E.
I'm sure
that's all I can read.
What brands?
You can't tell.
They're not Army Painter or Vallejo. It's got a Reaper. No, you didn't grab it. They must be craft paints. Is that what you're using?
That would be quite epic, actually.
Well, don't keep us all in suspense. At least show us the bottles.
I'll show you the cap. Here's the cap.
Okay, that is an Army Painter or Vallejo or even Reaper, but I don't see anything missing from up here. They're not speed paints. So, and most of my bottles are pretty paint free. So he's just messing with us, folks. So,
oh yeah, absolutely. That's exactly what I'm doing.
I will be starting off with some Pallid Bone Army Painter speed paint. Then I'll move on to what we have here. Fire Giant Orange, another speed paint by Army Painter. And Blood Red, probably my favorite of the 1.0 whatever, the original speed paints from Army Painter. I haven't been able to pick up the 2.0s yet, just because they're not available where I normally shop, which is Miniature Market, because that's the best deal. So I'm going to get stuck right in and go along with the Pallid Bone. I'll be painting the bony regions, obviously, his horns, the stuff on his back, and then move on to the orange and the reds. I really wanted to do this in just white, gray, and that sort of army green that Doomsday, the guy who killed Superman, dressed in and sort of wore. But I decided to go with more of more of what's on the box. Yeah, I actually have like 10 of all of when they killed off Superman years and years ago. Of course, they brought it back, I'm sure. I bought like 10 of all the.
Are you not?
What?
Are you sure? Are you sure they did that?
well, I know they killed him, and I know he came back because he went up to heaven, and God said, "No, no, you got to go back down," which I thought was kind of a bold move for them, considering what DC turned into lately. Um,
Well,
Not
you
a
mean
big
what
fan.
everyone's doing too.
I used to be, a big fan of both Marvel and DC, but in the last, mostly Jackie's Life, except for the Iron Man movies, they just became a big disappointment to me. You guys out there in TV land, hey, Grandma, your opinions may be vastly different, and I get it.
Therefore, you're
I
wrong.
grew up in the old days, and Crafting Gamers here with us tonight as well. I grew up
That is
when
entirely true.
when comic books were a lot different, and they were more worried about selling variant covers. uh I mean, I started way before that, but when I stopped collecting comic books, they were more worried about variant covers than actual good stories. So I flew the coop there and went on to other stuff. But I have fond memories of reading the Avengers and Batman and Spider-Man and all that good stuff. Iron Man, of course. All the way back to the Crafting Gamer says he heard little guy likes to draw strong bugs. Is that true?
I like bugs and I like drawing bugs, so I'm going to go with yes on that one. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know when that happened, but every kid goes through that phase, except me, because I'm not a big fan of bugs, so he must get that from some other DNA, racial family heretical memory from my
Heretical?
yeah. Yeah, well, hereditary memory from somebody else in the family, because he's not getting that from me, but he also doesn't get his language skills from me because he can actually speak more than one. I'm still working on good old fashioned English. Hey, Tiki Hut, thanks for subbing earlier, and thanks for joining the show. Brian's a great guy, and I uh, I wish he was here right now, but I'm sure he's probably got to spend some quality time with the misses, and they're probably kicking each other's ass some game or another. But I absolutely love watching their show, especially when they're gaming together. That's just living the dream, right, guys? Now it's a waste of perfectly good trees. Okay, Grandma, shot fired. Not that I disagree, but um,
I'm not going to respond to that.
well, I mean, when was the last comic book you read? Like never.
Probably, probably that one. Yeah.
I think you read that Spider-Man 2099 we got.
Nope, never read it.
You did?
Nope, I never read that one.
Okay, so we went to a comic book store one time in his life, and we picked up a Spidey 2099, and then I guess we came home and filed it away. He was going through a big Venom phase at the time, and I didn't want to hand him over my Venom comic books that he would have just trashed, not meaning to, but not understanding how delicate you have to be with comic books. Which is, it's a shame. I've been lately picking up trade paperbacks. The paper's better, and you get the full experience without having to make sure you don't sneeze or slobber on your comic books, and accidentally just tear them apart because of the paper. Even the better quality paper these days is very weak. Rocketeer's your favorite comic book, huh? I really enjoyed the movie back in the day. I'm sure if I watched it now, I wouldn't probably enjoy it as much. But I was telling Brian that I'm going to be doing a a 1940s. Hey, Holy Diver, what's happening, buddy? I'm going to be doing a weird World War II role playing game scenario for some of my friends later on down the road
That's
called
interesting.
Nazi Dinosaur Cults of Antarctica. And I'm gonna enlist his help to get all the technical stuff. I can write the story, but when I need to tell them what plane they're in, or what kind of tank is firing at them, or that sort of thing. World War II's used to be my thing way back when my dad was alive, 40 years ago, but since then I kind of probably forgot everything, and I want to make sure it's nice and accurate. So hopefully he'll be able to help me out with that. Oh, it did hold up pretty well. That's good to know. I've always been a pulp fan all the way back to the 70s when I was listening to old radio shows and reading Doc Savage, which was my go-to for a long time, prior to being like 10 years old. So show us what you got done so far. So because you're not going to tell us what colors, maybe the audience can guess.
Well, I'd rather do that when it's the more than 75% all white.
Oh, okay. So far the
That's an exaggeration, by the way.
the Army Painter Speed Paint is actually doing what I wanted it to do. I am going to have to lighten it up with dry brushing, but I'm not going to even attempt to do that until this thoroughly dries. Speed Paints 1.0 are kind of famous for reactivating, as in the paint becomes liquid again when it comes in contact with other liquid like paint, which is kind of a serious flaw. I wish they would have put a little more work into it, but that gave them all the impetus to go and make a Speed Point 2.0, which more colors, including metallics, which I'm really pumped about. Although I was thinking the other day, Jackie and I used to make our own contrast paints. Oh my goodness!
Oh yeah, we
So,
did. Those were all
I
right.
never thought about making a metallic. We made other colors, but it turns out that the new speed paint sets have metallics, and that really intrigues the heck out of me. What you can do with a metallic over a zenithal highlight, the completely eliminating the need for Agrex Earthshade, or as my son calls it, gnome oil.
No, it's gnome oil, but also that's not even gnome oil. Aren't those two completely different paints?
You know what, crafting? We might do it live if I can really get everybody on board with it, because it'll be people like Bo Paints Minis, Omen Owl, Mark from Mark's Genre Mixer, maybe that darn cat. And normally we play a game on Friday nights together, GURPS, and it's actually a really it's a nice way to end the week, or run into the weekend with everything behind us, except for poor Bo, who works like every spare minute of the day and teaches and does all this other stuff.
Wait, teaches?
But yeah, he teaches martial arts, I believe.
What?
Yeah, I know, right?
Had no idea.
I could be wrong. He could teach something else, but I know he has a class he teaches during the week, and so he can't be with us as much as we'd like.
Yeah, well, never mind.
But Bo's a great guy. They all are, you guys all know Omen, from everything but his own channel.
Because he doesn't have
I like
them.
giving him a hard time for that, because he would actually, be a great host of a channel if he wanted to, but he doesn't.
Well,
want to,
let's be honest. Let's be honest.
He's on everybody else's show. I think I think he found a way to beat the algorithm. He just will never get paid unless they pay him to be on the show. And
That's not what I meant, though. We all know what
Homeland's a great
happened to
game.
most of the show.
Yeah.
We all know what happened.
And as for hilarious, the hilarity always comes from the players. So if they're if they're feeling it that night, then it will be hilarious. And Jackie, you're more than welcome to join. Although it would be a new game system, probably Amazing Adventures, which is made by Castles and Crusades, and I don't even know that system very well myself. So it's going to be a while. I'm,
Wait, are you going to be running it?
What was that?
Are you going to be running it?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. So I get to kill my kid and not go to jail.
Well, yeah, but don't you already do that every day?
Yeah, more or less.
Exactly.
At least I make you die a little inside, right?
Yeah, and that's exactly what I meant.
Okay. Otherwise, you're like the undead, and
Yeah.
I'd be guilty of more than just war crimes, right? Crimes
Yeah.
against humanity.
Yeah. I am now suddenly in the mood of playing a certain Serbian song.
Oh, do share with us.
No.
We threaten everybody in the title with possible politics.
Not yet.
Okay. The night is young, Father. The night is young. Okay, that's actually, I don't know if you guys can see that, but that's really doing the trick here for the bony regions on this bad mamma jamma. I will admit this doesn't look anything like the Terrasque I remember from the old, I think it was Monster Manual 2. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it had to be the Monster Manual 2. It just doesn't have the same look, but I really like it a lot, and I think I could use it. Now that we have two of them, we could use it for a lot of different, games, whether it be miniature war games or role playing games. I think this would be great. You know what? It almost makes me want to play a game of Giant Monster Rampage with these.
That would be ridiculous, but very epic.
That was the idea.
I mean, I guess that's that whole game summarized.
Or maybe use it in Star Schlock. When we play test it, just have it as a thing that's gonna, after a certain point, jump onto the battlefield. Everybody's trying to avoid waking it up or something.
I suppose that could work.
And we should be getting the new copy of the Star Schlock magazine any day now with a little surprise inside. They're getting ready to do a new Kickstarter during the summer that's going to include some really cool new miniatures and ideas from the 70s and 80s that so far they've like really touched on like some of my favorite shows and movies like Buck Rogers and G.I. Joe, obviously Star Wars, but if you haven't checked out Star Schlock and you're into 1970s and 80s campy sci-fi, then I'm telling you guys that there's so much heart in what that guy does. I mean, he does almost everything himself. It seems like the miniature sculpting and the game writing and his sculpts are really, really good.
True.
But it's just so, little guy didn't, grow up like most of us did watching Buck Rogers and Tweaky, and thank God there's no Tweaky miniature, right? Though, because that would have just been, yeah, I hated that character. That was like probably one of my most hated characters of the 1970s. Hey, Sean, how you doing? Welcome to the show. We're just painting up some minis, trying to get back into the swing of things with, little guy finally being out of school. So believe it or not, the little guy spent his first 2 days of vacation, school vacation, that being Monday and Tuesday, going back to school to volunteer to help. I'm like, I told a couple of my friends, and every one of them agreed that that would literally be the last thing they would ever do. As soon as school was over, they would be doing anything but thinking about going back to school. Glad to
Okay.
Thanks, Sean. Sean's getting silly here.
Yeah.
Glad to hear it, Grandma. Um, I've been working on some other stuff, but I got so much on my table, that needs, getting done, so I can just, move on to other stuff and sort of knock stuff out, because we've got uh, real soon we'll be getting a gigantic crate full of Shadows of Brimstone miniatures and game pieces and all that stuff. And I literally don't know where I'm going to put half of it unless I really get some of this stuff out of the studio and into the boxes that they belong, the storage cases and things like that. And me, it'll show up, and I will not be done with anything and still grab out the clippers and start putting together more miniatures. Uh, and tell myself, oh, I'm going to paint these, and then I'll go back to painting all the other stuff that I forgot about. And by the time that's over, Dungeons and Lasers 5 will be hitting my doorstep, and I will repeat the process until I literally can't move. I'll be storing things in the bathroom, and I really need to kind of stop doing that a little. Yeah, right. I know you guys are all just laughing.
Yeah, no, he's not
That'll
doing that.
never happen. The
Yep.
Shadow's just gonna have, piles and piles of miniatures everywhere, and and then he'll start crafting again. He get that bug, and next thing you know, he'll do the Shadow and Sun show, and there'll be like nothing in the background but a giant wall of mess.
I mean, honestly, that seems quite epic in a sense.
I think I'm going to go through this entire bottle of Pallid Bone tonight on this miniature, because with the speed paints, you really have to sort of just dab it on and let it roll where it wants to go, and pool up and puddle up. I don't want to do a second coat on this, just because I plan on going over everything with an ivory to lighten it up, and I don't want to use soft tone, which would be my natural inclination. But this is like, it's like made out of soft tone. This particular color, just a little thicker. I mean, it could literally be soft tone, and I wouldn't be able to tell the difference. But I'm going with it anyways because it says Pallid Bone, and that's what I want. But
Well,
you,
yeah,
you
but
really
we
have to.
used soft tone as bone for decades.
I know. That's what I'm
Or
saying.
it feels like
It
it.
really, yeah, it really feels like it on this model here. It really feels like that's exactly what I'm doing. And like I said, you have to kind of overfill your brush with it, and then just sort of glop it on, uh, so that it really does what it does, which is to act like a wash, and but at the same time stain the upper areas and then go into the recesses like a wash. But apparently the formula is a little bit different. But you know, when it comes to army painter, that these are like the few things that I really do like. Their other paints they're good for dry brushing paints because they're so thick. But no matter what I do, I just can't get them to completely liquefy. Maybe that's the intention with a lot of the colors, especially the metallics. The metallics are like they're like toothpaste when they come out. I'm not even kidding. And so I'm over the course of the next year or so. If I run out of a color of army paint, I will not get it unless it's like a really special color, and I'll look for it elsewhere. I'm leaning more toward Reaper miniatures as opposed to Viejo, just because I can.
Vallejo miniatures?
No, paint. Yeah, sorry, I don't know what. Vallejo is a nice brand of paint, but at almost $6 a bottle versus the two. I pick up Reaper paints for about $1.25 or less. I decided I can only buy Arduin minis next. Oh, Grandma, I would have made you real jealous if I would have made the video I wanted to make this week, but the little guy convinced me not to. I have almost every Arduin miniature ever made, from all the way back in the 70s to some things that, like, I'm probably the only person who owns them. Even Emperor's Choice probably don't have any. They might, but I would be willing to bet that there are not many left. I think it was
Yeah.
Julie Guthrie who did all of the minis back in the day.
Yeah. Have you ever told the story of what they sent you all those years ago?
Uh, Maybe what he's referring to is back before I was good friends with the guys at Emperor's Choice. I was looking for all things Arduin, and I came across this company called Emperor's Choice, and I wrote them a letter saying, "Hey, are you guys in business? It kind of looks like you might not be. I want to buy a bunch of stuff from you guys." And I've been a huge fan of Arduin all my life since I was 14 years old, and I just absolutely love this stuff, and I need everything. So I was going to buy everything in their catalog, and I didn't get a response back. And I'm just like, looking elsewhere, and one day I opened the door to go outside, and there's a bunch of boxes to me from this place called Emperor's Choice. And I'm like, I didn't order anything. I was just like flabbergasted. I opened it up, and there was just tons of stuff: minis, books, maps, cards, you name it. They sent me almost everything in their catalog, not knowing me from Adam. Just, here you go, dude. And I tried thanking them through emails and getting in touch with them, and same thing, no response. And I tried a couple of times. I'm like, I'm just trying to thank you and buy some more stuff, guys. And I found out later that they were going through some hard times. And years later, maybe even almost 7 to 10 years later, I did the same thing. It's like, hey, are you guys in business? And then they started communicating with me. And next thing they did it again. They sent me their entire library of books, no minis this time, which is cool. I get it.
Was this more recent? I mean, obviously more recent, but
Yeah, that's the one we just did. The review of the books and
oh,
the unboxing, and I mounted the maps on the wall and stuff like that. Grandma's gonna break the new rule for sure, huh? And Sean says, I haven't the money, space, or wherewithal to paint minis, but I can appreciate those who can and do. I'd stick to my paper standees. You know what, though? You know what? I used to watch Black Magic Craft when he first was starting out, and that's what he was doing. He was printing his own and loving it and saying, I'll never do minis. I'll never do minis. And then people started sending him minis because, he's got a big channel. Even back then he had, a pretty sizable channel, and they started sending him minis, and those standees never saw the light of day again. And
rip.
they did not have 1/10 the charm as the minis, the standees, I should say, Mage's Musing uses on his channel. If you ever do videos with miniatures, um, I would probably unsub. I'm not just joking. That is your thing. You made it as original as possible with what you do. It is so perfectly you. If you ever do minis, just keep it to yourself. There's a million guys out there doing what we're doing, but nobody does what you do. Between the friends you've created, like your logo guy and the Demi Lich and all that stuff on on YouTube, where the environment isn't as kid friendly and just wholesome and enjoyable. Dude, that is so you. Please just keep doing what you're doing, and eventually you'll have your own, kids show or grown up show, like regular, like real TV. You Not that maybe you don't want that, because now that I think about it, that's kind of, But if you guys have not subscribed to all these guys out here, because I'm pretty sure, yeah, as a matter of fact, everybody in here tonight has got a channel of their own, from
Wait till the one else
RPG
shows up.
Grandma. Hey, what? It always
Nothing.
shows up, right?
Yep.
RPG Grandma, Mage's Musing, Crafting Gamer, Holy Diver, the Tiki Hut. I don't know if you have a channel, bud. If you do, go ahead and post it in the comment section, or as our friend Mr. Max says, the insult section. Put it in the comment section,
Oh, I thought you were gonna say
or
X section.
get a hold of me later, and we'll have you on the show, because just about everybody here has been on the show at one point or another, uh, except Holy Diver. But I think I know I try to catch your show every Saturday morning. Subscribe to every one of these fine folks, because they all bring something to the hobby that is uniquely their own. And I really mean that. Everybody in the chat tonight does something that nobody else does, has their own style. I know you could try to say, oh, well, everybody does that. No, a lot of people are really kind of just copies of other channels, in some way, or lots of ways, but not these guys. Every one of you. I wish Bo was here right now. Uh, that would be awesome, because he's another guy who deserves a serious shout out. If not a funny story, but a story I'm going to tell you guys anyways. Bo is like a brother to me, and I kind of want to say I really pushed him to start his own channel, and that I was like one of the very first subs of his. I hope I was, but last week I had to resub to his channel. Mind you, I have never missed a single one of his videos. If his video pops up, I usually will drop just about everything to watch his his opinion on the hobby, and whatever it might be that he wants to talk about that particular day. He did a video a while back, where he really put his heart into it, and sorry about that, folks. Apparently, someone didn't like that particular comment. Jackie's going to call me a conspiracy theorist. But what I was saying is, I had to resubscribe to one of my best friends' channel, even though I never missed one of his shows. I subscribed as early as possible, and so if you guys get the chance, go out there and let's help Bo Paints Minis break 100 this month maybe, because he really he should be way higher up there.
Again, true.
And Holy Diver says, yeah, don't forget to throw a light out on the video for Shadow and Sun. Thanks, man. Yeah, sorry guys. We've got really good internet here, supposedly, but
No, we don't. We need to get a new one. It sucks.
yeah, I get a new internet.
It sucks more than a
You mean
gender studies
provider?
course.
Yeah, I don't know what it is, that happened, because it literally was a sort of recent thing that started happening. Before we were able to do pretty much whatever we wanted, when it came to streaming.
It's because a certain lizard man has a personal grudge against this man because 75 years ago, when he crash landed his spaceship, he asked him for water, but he didn't give him the water, so he has a personal grudge and has now made it his mission to mildly inconvenience him every chance he gets.
Yeah, kids these days, right?
I mean, that's what you told me. Or close enough.
I know. Yeah, it's pretty close to my origin story.
Oh no, it's Mark Zuckerberg. I mean, Lizard Man's origin story. Because you're human and I was human. I mean, I am human. I was simply referring to myself in the past, not that I am no longer human.
Right. Well, yeah, sure, of course.
Yeah.
Thanks, guys. You know what? I really appreciate you guys subscribing to each other like you're doing. That really means a lot. Most of us, are well-meaning, hobbyists, enthusiasts, gamers, crafters, role players, war gamers, and whatever we can do to help each other, really, just helps ourselves as well. We've got a couple of great eyeballs, or pairs of eyeballs, watching us tonight.
Yeah.
And the night is still young, and we haven't even yet begun to talk Jackie's favorite topic, because you guys know he that's his thing. He'd rather.
What?
Look, I'm going to read this one. Careful, Shadow, with a story like that. You might want to ask him what he has been eating out in the desert. Hey, Mini Warmut, welcome to the show. We're still going to be here for a while longer, so don't think just because it's getting close to the end of the hour that we're going anywhere. We're going to be here for a while.
No, this show doesn't start until the hour's end.
Yeah, and so far, I hate to say it, but the speed paint dulled in a way I was not hoping for. I definitely might have to give it a second coat, or just say screw it and go with the soft tone. It really dulled down to a desert yellow on this. I don't know if you can see that, but it's not doing the speed painty washy sort of thing that it's supposed to do. In some places it's better than others, but it's really got a dull finish to it that I'm just not enjoying. Like he smashed, keep at it. Okay, thanks, Mini Warmud. And Sean says, you go silent like that for a few seconds and I get worried that you're frozen again. Yeah. I don't know what it is. because some devices will work just fine when this happens, and others will just take a complete, crap on us. And we really enjoy our internet. I don't know about you guys, but we really do. It there's a lot of bad things you can say about it, but during the thing that we all went through a couple years back, you know, I know for us, it brought us out here to meet all you guys, uh, and kept us from killing each other when we were all stuck at home with not as much to do as normally. And it you know it was kind of a blessing in a way. We got to meet all you nice folks, and get more into the hobby. I had so many games and miniatures just sitting in boxes and shelves that I didn't think the little guy was old enough for, which I was way wrong in that respect. And we started
Ah,
playing Shadows of Brimstone.
remember, there are certain things about that period of time that make me think that you might have been right. Cough,
Yeah,
cough, libertarianism.
right. And there he goes, trying to start
Oh no,
that engine running.
I'm just it's just the appetizer.
Just the appetizer. Oh, geez. He's really a glutton for punishing his old man. He just wants to see his old man suffer.
You gave me this opportunity, and I'm not going to let it
Hey,
go to
you know
waste.
what? Have when we do our regular shows, we keep it not just PG and wholesome, but we stick to the subject at hand. But when we do these live streams, it just brings out the little devil in him, I guess, or the you know what's the word I'm looking for, the self-righteousness angel, the self-righteous angel in him. um and if you go back and watch, like, especially like our first two live streams we did, where it was just him and I, we went for, like, I think the first or second live stream we ever did,
Second, we
it
don't
was
talk about that one though. It didn't happen. There was no episode 2 of the Shadow Chat. It was actually called the Shadow and Sun test stream.
yeah, yeah, you're right. And then thanks to Baron, he gave us the shadow name, the shadow chat name. And at first Jackie's like, I hate it, it's so generic. But you know what,
I still
it
hate it.
kind of it kind of works. And Mike, welcome to the show, another
It
long
works in the
time
same way that
friend of ours.
hiding in a washing machine works. Does.
Hmm.
Have you
So
ever
I
seen
went
somebody
back
hide inside a
over.
washing machine? It's weird.
I'm sorry, I'm not following you, sport. What?
Have you ever seen somebody hide inside of a washing machine before?
Oh, yes, yes, yes.
It's quite
That's
interesting.
that can be deadly or hysterical, depending on.
Well, to be honest, it should have been deadly, but it was quite funny.
Oh, you mean your friend from school, huh?
Yes, of course. Who else can fit inside a washing machine? Well, a lot, but still.
And yeah, it was quite amusing. And like you said, that stream doesn't exist, so don't go check it out. But I went back over just to test it, the speed paint a
Yeah, fair
second
enough.
time on this part of the tail. See if you can see it, and that's what I'm looking for. That you can see as it goes up, where it's really dull and dusty looking. But that look here is what I'm hoping for. So I'm gonna leave that and move on to the next area, and hope that it'll stay like that. Maybe it just needed, like, its own paint to stick to. You know what, Mini War, I don't drink coffee anymore, but
Excuse
I
me.
do miss it. I was just talking about that the other day with someone. I gave up coffee, milk, juice, soda, everything but water, and I don't regret it. But every once in a while, I don't mean very often. I mean every time I walk by a percolating coffee machine or coffee pot, I'm like, what the hell was I thinking? And obviously, I made the right choice, but I do miss it. I don't miss the soda. I don't miss the milk, except every once in a while I'm craving a bowl of
This is what he
cereal.
tells us, but I have a theory that every single day at night, he makes a ridiculous amount of coffee, drinks it all in exactly 4.5 seconds, and then goes into the meth lab and works all night making meth.
Pay no attention to the maniac. Uh,
You got to flip
Water,
your
iced
camera. There's
tea,
something
and
up. There's
decaf
something wrong.
coffee, no soda. Good for you, mini warm. But yeah, I really don't miss the soda. There's a couple of times in the last 7 years that I've kind of wanted one. But I know that you know there's nothing in soda that is remotely natural or healthy. And
Great
admittedly,
point.
I drank a crap ton of soda all my life, from as far back as I can remember. As my old man was a massive soda junkie, but if you can do it, you won't regret it, and then you'll get to the point where even like taking a sip of soda, you're just like, oh my god, this is like just pure sugar,
I agree with
even
you.
with the diet versions.
I completely agree with you. But did you freeze?
Yeah, no. I was reading. Mini Warmut said, "My cardio doc will not take me off those 3 drinks. Ha! I won't let him. I'll go insane." Um, everybody's different, and I'm not gonna, try and convert anybody to the water Arianism that I've
Water
become proud,
Arianism?
whatever you call it.
That doesn't make any sense.
Aquaholics.
Okay, I
Uh,
actually really like that. You
uh,
have good ideas
but
every once in a while. Are you on meth?
no, drugs are bad. Okay.
Okay.
Mike says that looks cool. And hey, RPG Grandma, enjoy your stream when I catch them. And hail Mage's musings, love your stuff. Hey, everybody here just about has got a channel of their own. Um, if you're in the mood for a little something stronger, go check out Holy Diver on Saturday mornings. Waterholics sounds better.
Stronger? What is that
Okay.
supposed to imply?
And thanks. I hope it will stay that like that. It is drying, and I didn't really want it glossy, but I didn't want it as dull as this up here. It's just not cutting it. So now I'm going to try and move to the orange, which is the Fire Giant orange, because I'm going to try and transition from orange to red as I go down, and then even over the red, I'm going to dry brush with an orange, and then probably an ivory, very light dry brushing of ivory over, the whole guy's just nothing but bumps. But let's try our hand with the orange. Uh, Not quite wet blending, but almost that effect. Uh, I normally when I paint it's pretty simplistic just to get it, you know, as Uncle Adam would say, table ready. I'm not out to win any awards. I just want it to look good. And you know, uh, most of the people who see what I do off camera, even my crummiest paint jobs, they look at it and they're amazed that anybody could do what we do. They don't understand washes and dry brushing that are kind of like cheats. there are tricks of the trade that if you didn't know, because even as a kid when I was first starting, I didn't know that much about it, and I would see it, and I'm like, how do they paint those tiny little lines? And you don't. You paint around them, or you let the paint just flow, or the washes just flow into it, and there's one particular person, Jackie's best friend's grandma, when she comes in or used to come into the house and visit, and she would see my table of shame in the kitchen, and she would just, spend, like 10 minutes just marveling at, what I had done. And I'm like, this is crap. This is like the good stuff's put away, this is the stuff I need to hurry up and work on because, it's an embarrassment because it's just sitting here. And she would just look at it and just be like, think I was freaking Picasso, and the average,
Picasso is
normie, you know what I mean? Yeah, Picasso sucked. Okay, Rembrandt or Van Gogh, not even that. The Hildebrandt brothers. There you go, someone with talent. But they will look at your paint jobs and not understand what you do and how you get to that point. And trust me, 99% of the people who look at your stuff are going to be like that. If they're not painters, they're going to see what you did and just be like, "Oh my God, you're a professional. You should be, in museums and all that, good stuff." And
yeah,
it's just a
that's how it is
couple,
with pretty much everything.
and it's just a couple of little techniques, washes, dry brush, not even going to get into the shading and the layering and things like that. Those two little techniques take your basic paint jobs to a level that I have a good friend who I'm going to be giving lessons to, and I've seen his work, and he's right where I was many years ago, just because he thought he knew how to paint, and he's not wrong. He knows how to base coat. He knows how to base coat really well. But imagine all you painters out there, if you never did anything but base coating, what your miniatures and your collection would look like. You would not be happy when you realize that you just did the very first step and you just then quit. You know what I mean? Yeah. I know. Everybody wants to see what you're doing, bud. They want to see a little example. Just give them a taste, just a little peek.
I'm almost done. Don't you worry.
Okay. Okay.
Verify your clocks,
Yeah,
squeeze the doors, everything is
I
fine.
appreciate that, Mike, but uh, it's really not what I'm shooting for, and I will use this effect, of the pallid bone for things like you were suggesting for certain areas of terrain. But when it's got so many cracks and crevices that just need to have, a darker shade to them, and this is saying, nah, I don't want to do that. It's like literally refusing to do its actual job. It refuses. It's like, nope, I'm not going in those cracks and crevices. Not today. Don't feel like it. It could be because it's pretty warm here, and I've not tried using a wet palette with speed paints because I think you would just get, colored water, instead of speed paint. If you did that, I I I, I should look into that and see if anybody else has, got a, right, Sean. It is a visual thing, and that's what I like about what you do is you've accepted the visual medium, but you wanna not distract from what you're doing when you're game mastering. I assume that you want to have the bare minimums, but you don't want to have like, I mean, it's like you totally embrace the bare minimums to the ultimate degree. I don't think Jackie's seen his. Have you seen Mage's standees?
I've seen a little bit of his stuff.
They're literally stick men, with comical faces and traditional garb of uh, a ranger, an elf, a thief, a magic user, but full on stick men. And the funny thing is when the little guy was younger, he was a huge stick man
I still
fan.
am. Stickmen are the
Okay,
greatest form of art. Okay, there's nothing that surpasses a stick human. Nothing better than it.
and so you know, we all
You
here at the
lying
Shadow and Sun Show
person.
absolutely, you know, love what you do. It you know, a lot of
Read
people,
the
you know,
comments.
I know a lot of snobby people. I can see them not getting it. I was actually talking about you guys painting off camera. Oh, sorry. It's hard because we don't have the technology. You know, we're
No, you
both.
just suck at
He's running
reading.
off his. No, I'm using a tablet. Okay, and I can't
And I'm
fold the
using my
tablet
phone.
and show you that. And he's using a Chromebook. We are working on it because we do have our
Oh,
regular camera,
yeah.
but we need to have like a camera overhead or directly in front that we can manipulate better than we can now. And that's just not in the cards right now. Maybe when we hit 1,000 subs, we'll you know pump that extra effort in for that. And we've
We're not
actually
putting any
been
more effort
doing.
into this ever. That's not going to happen. It,
Well, I
the
mean, if we can
excuse
find
we
a way
use
to.
is that it will destroy the style. That's why we don't edit. That's why we don't get better stuff.
Fair enough. But I wouldn't mind, you know, especially when I'm here doing stuff by myself and the little guys at school or something. I would, you know, maybe do a little bit more painting, you know, when he's at school and I'm, you know, here all alone. But
Wait, hold up.
oh yeah, I was gonna say we've actually Jack's just dipping with that and dripping with that enthusiasm for the show. You know what it was like when you were a teenager. You thought, you know, you could do no wrong. You knew everything. And, you know, it sucks because he's so right so often. It's terrifying. But we've actually been, you know, picking up subs. You know, for a while we were literally, we'd get a sub, we'd lose a sub, we'd get a sub, we'd lose a sub. And this last week we started, I guess we hit that point where the algorithm went, okay, fine, you can have your subs. And we hit 640 today.
It does not at all surprise me that I show up again and you're talking about subscribers.
Right. I was born
Anyways,
old. I was never a teenager, says Sean. Uh, you know what? Uh, I almost believe that. But we hit 640, and that makes me want to push to 750. And you know, if we get there, I am actually going to give away one of these minis to one lucky friend of ours.
it's
Uh,
going to go.
we've got a couple. Whenever I back a Kickstarter, I've always made sure to get extra stuff so that I could give it away to our friends out there in TV land. And I just backed the latest Kickstarter, and it afforded me the opportunity to get yet more of the stuff from the previous Kickstarter because the new Kickstarter uh, it's cool, but it's not really like my thing. It's hundreds, like it's probably close to 500 miniatures that some of them are really awesome. Don't get me wrong. I mean, they're epic miniatures, but they're so epic that like the Tarrasque, you'd use it once in a campaign and then it's like gone, you know, or, you know, you can't keep reusing certain miniatures. Uh, or they lose the magic about whatever that encounter was. So you know, I'll get them, I'll assemble them, I'll paint them, and then I'll put them away and use them once, and then probably never again. So I'm going to use the extra points from the Kickstarter to go and get stuff for you guys. Everybody really seemed to enjoy that last year except Charlotte. I'm still waiting. Charlotte Williams, if you're out there watching this, I really do expect to see some pictures of all those painted miniatures. She won our grand prize last year. Uh,
That was last year?
well, it was like January 1st. No, you're right. It was it January or was it December 26th or 27th? It was right around Christmas time. and I bump into her in chats on Bruce's channel and stuff like that, and I'm like, I really want to see what you did with all those minis. You know, I had a set myself. Okay, I recommend a rowboat mimic. Nobody expects it. That would be kind of cool. Uh, there are some really good mimics, and I honestly believe Archon Studios made some of the best mimics I've ever seen. The vending machine mimic, oh my god, that that one just cracks me up. It's such a good miniature. I can't even paint it because it literally really requires you painting like all the candy bars inside the vending machine, and I'm not up to that. Maybe if I think about it like the way I painted the library pieces, and find some cheat way, to fake it, um, I might be able to pull it off. What do you think, Sport?
I think you're right. Yeah. By the way, I'm done with the second color on the Tarrasque.
Grandma says I need to do about 20 cats, so paper kitties, I think, for those. Grandma, are you going to throw kill kittens at your party? Tell me you're throwing kill kittens, because that is just one of the most uh, uh, incredible Arduin monsters of all time. Uh, the image from the book says it all, but we don't have that handy to show off the players. But imagine, the party is walking down a path through the forest, and they see a poor defenseless little kitten with licking his paw and looking injured, and somebody in the party, some druid or player thinks, oh, the poor kitten's hurt, and they try to approach the animal to maybe cast a cure light wounds on it, and it looks up at him with the most evil look and meows, and next thing you know, 250 cats come charging out of the brush with giant claws and fangs extended, having transformed into this monstrous kill kitten, and just tears the party to shreds. It's just that was Hargrave, in a nutshell. Kill Kittens and Misty Isle Kitties, two separate adventures. My couch is a mimic. It keeps eating things, including the two little dogs, which require rescuing from time to time.
There's two words that you use in that sentence, and not that sentence, in that comment, which reminds me of something, but I can't say what. Anyways, the Tarrasque is closer to being done.
Okay, let's see. Come on, lift it up higher.
Use the thing so you can actually see it. You are the person in control of this live stream, unfortunately.
Okay.
Really, all I've done is... Oh, did I miss a spot? No, I did not. I've added dark stone, which is the paint that I was using, surprisingly not purple, to the areas just below all the black, and I also mix it in with the black using a bit of light dry brushing, you could say.
Mm-hmm. I can see it. It's a rough, dark stone and black next to each other. I'm certain it'll look better when we do a show-off show, so we can use the other camera and really zoom in there.
Okay, now fix the camera. There we go. Okay. I'm going to attempt to use wet blending on the next part.
Oh, check you out.
Now, here's the thing. I haven't painted anything in months. Last time I even tried wet blending was last year.
Go into the master technique. Check him out.
So this is guaranteed to go perfectly with no problems whatsoever.
Of course. That's how life works.
Yeah, exactly. I need to remember how to do it, which is going to take like 3 minutes. By the way, speaking of the time, I didn't need this, actually.
You got a hot date?
No. This live stream's been going on for over an hour.
Uh-oh. You know what that means?
Any minute now, Justin.
Is Justin in the chat?
Nope. If you know what I mean, you know what I mean.
Yeah, anybody who knows you knows what it means. It means it's time to get political. Which reminds me, I recently came across this young lady's channel where she does parody songs. And if you guys remember the old Olivia Newton-John song, she changed the words to, instead of "let's get physical, let's get political." And I have yet to watch it, but rest assured, by the end of the night, I will have watched it. She's very talented. I'll have to share her channel out over in Discord or something. It's past midnight, so Justin might be asleep. Yeah. For a party animal, he sure has a early to bed, early to rise schedule.
That is true.
But you know what? If Justin's out there, you know what, dude? I hope you're doing well, and thank you for giving Jack that idea to fix the shadow and sun sign, which I need to change back for things like this because now it's reversed.
You can just flip the camera again. Use the settings. And by the way, I don't think that's what he told me to do at all.
Oh, okay. He told you to do something even funnier than actually just fix the sign.
Yeah, no, he just told me to mess it up, which I immediately agreed with because it's been too long since I've done it. I used to try it all the time, but it never worked. He always caught it.
Yeah, well, I mean, I caught it that time,
Yeah, true. He did it again.
But, it led to him actually fixing it so that when I do solo videos, it actually says Shadow and Sun because he reversed it. But
even though shouldn't it just be Shadow because I'm not there?
Nope. Even when you're in college or in the military, it will always be the same because it was your idea to make a channel.
No, it wasn't. That's a lie. Okay, just because 17 years ago I said, "What if you make like a good mythical morning, but it's like a trash can?" Doesn't mean that I had the idea for this channel. Okay, this is lies. This is heresy. This is blatant falsities being spoken right now. And the idea that I had anything to do with the idea to make this channel is simply not true. He's simply saying that so that the story sounds better. But in actuality, it was all his idea.
I can't believe you brought up the trash can thing. That's so funny. I can't believe you brought up the trash can thing. I know those are good. Those are good times, buddy. I miss those.
They were. And anyways, that reminds me of now. Wodash DNA NAS. Yep.
DNA NAS. Yeah. When we were, some of you guys know that he's the only kid at his school who rode a bike to school. Kindergarten, I pulled him to school on my bike in one of those little kid trailers, and I can't imagine that was a good memory. But the next year, maybe it was.
There was a Dust Devil, and I am eternally angry that I never got to see it.
Oh.
That's the worst part about that whole thing.
There's inspiration to deal with it. As believable as that sounds, Jack, you are still participating, so you are complicit. We would, from first grade on, he had one of those little kid bikes with training wheels, and we would ride to school together. And then I'd chain up his bike like anybody was going to steal it. Although I think someone did take it once, remember? Or was that the other bike?
I don't think that ever actually happened.
No, it did. Someone took your bike from the special ed section of the school, and they brought it back.
Oh.
Yeah, I remember when you went to the smaller part of the school, and we would, he would ride his little.
Well, no. That was. It's now the sped part, but it's not. It wasn't always the sped part. Our school was really dumb. They rented an area of another school. There was this high school that existed, long gone, and let me put this back in here. And then my school bought or took over that area, and they built an area below it for another school. But our school didn't use the part that they owned. They used another one, and were renting it out, and then eventually moved out for some reason, even though they owned the part they could. It was really dumb.
But yeah, he was the only kid to ride his bike to school from first grade to eighth grade out of a school of about 900,000 students.
900,000? 900,000?
No, 900 to 1,000.
Oh.
Yeah, at those Caminos. Maybe it was only like 500, but it was a lot. I mean, it seemed like a lot, you know.
It was not 900,000, I can tell you that much.
No, I didn't say 900,000.
You did say 900,000.
Yeah, 900,000, right. Well, my point is riding to and from school, we got to ride through the desert, you know, or walk our bikes through the deserts because of the damn goat heads and all the sticker bushes and stuff that would, you know, kill our tires. But we had a lot of fun. As a little kid, you know, he got to see rabbits and squirrels and crows and lizards and even a dead snake once and coyotes.
The dead snake. It was amazing. I wanted to take it home. Why couldn't I?
Where you know, all his friends at school, they were getting dropped off by mommy and daddy every morning, picked up every afternoon, and they missed out on all the cool bike rides we had and the, you know, the father and son conversations of just stupid crap, which, you know, I guess eventually led to us, you know, being where we are now. And now that he's a big boy and he rides to school by himself, you know, because it's actually closer, and you know, he doesn't want to be embarrassed to have his old man riding to school with him, make sure he gets there on, you know, safe and sound. I mean, he's a big kid. He, you know, I get it. You know, I back when we were kids, if my parents actually had to drive me to school, that was actually considered embarrassing. Remember, guys? You know, we you know, if you had to have your parents drive you to school, there was like something wrong with you. And now it's like, if you don't have your mommy and daddy driving you to school, there's something wrong with your whole family because you're poor or something. And we weren't. We were just having fun. You know, we get some exercise. You know, get to see some cool stuff, and you know, collect some cool rocks, which was also part of the fun. You know, we picked up
rocks
probably, you know, easily. We probably picked up 1,000 rocks, wouldn't you say?
Well, yeah.
Oh, you know, not even including Alex and Emily picking up rocks with us the few times they went. Just, you know, tons of cool rocks and other weird stuff. Sometimes we'd actually find something that we would, you know, turn into a craft for the channel. You know, not just the rock.
A little bit, I guess.
But I, you know, that's where I get my sand. That's where I get my gravel, and you know, the twigs and stuff like that sometimes, and just other weird pieces of plastic we'd find every once in a while. So it was, you know, it was awesome, but yet kind of sad, you know, thinking about how the other kids were just, you know, missing out on the normal thing that we all did as a kid, which was just ride to school, you know, and then, you know, after school, riding home with your friends and, you know, having those conversations and races and, you know, jumping curbs and stuff like that. And, you know, building ramps and jumping over trash cans. How many of you guys out there did that when you were a kid? You know, get a couple of cinder blocks and a plank of wood and, you know, take your, you know, your huffy, you know, motocross bike and pedal as fast as you could and jump over your friends or a couple of trash cans. Yeah, good times. So now I'm trying to clean up the mess. The speed paint is dripping. Stop! I'm feeling old. No, man, those memories are actually what keep us young at heart. I have a scar on my chin received after wiping out at age 9, showing off for the girls. Dude, right here, man. Right here. Got one too. Although mine wasn't from showing off. These older kids had a 10 speed, and I had my little
Mine
kid's bike.
hammers.
I think it even had training wheels. And they asked me if I wanted to play fire engine, and I'm like, a fire engine? They said, yeah, yeah. We're gonna tie your bike to our bike, and then we'll just pull you along. Yeah. Imagine how that ended up. That ended up with stitches and me never seeing them ever again. Um,
Epic. Truly.
yeah, yeah.
That reminds me, and by that I mean I've been wanting to say this for a while, but it's past the hour mark by quite a bit, so I can actually say it now. So there's this kid I know. I'm not gonna say his name though. Really, it doesn't matter. All you need to know is that he's a Boy Scout, which is a kind of epic, and he's on the mock
Yeah.
trial team. Mock trial team is run by a short Jewish lady who has gay flags on the wall. Now, this kid at the time, when he started, was a very, very partisan Democrat. All right? Not necessarily like woke, kind of racist, but very, very
He's
much
actually a good
a
kid.
Democrat.
He's a very good kid though. I like him.
Yeah. After spending a full school year with these really, really gay kids, he is now, how do I put this? Essentially a Nazi, which I find to be some great character development.
God, that's terrible, Jack.
Well, no. Oh, wait, I'm using the wrong paintbrush. Dang
Yeah,
it.
yeah. The way you said that, yeah, yeah. That's terrible.
How is that terrible?
Nobody should be complimented for becoming a Nazi.
He's not a Nazi, but
He acts like one.
no, maybe. No, not really. The point is, I don't know why, I just needed to explain that. He is friends with a lot of gay people. Where's Caesar? Sure, yeah. Because of the mock trial thing. And he, I think on Memorial Day, he made a joke saying, "My pronouns are USA." These small brain leftists got so incredibly offended by that. They went up to him and were like, "Oh my god, you realize how incredibly offensive that is? Like there are people that like they need to use these things to like express who they are and other gay stuff you can imagine." So they posted saying something along the lines of, "You got to respect Jovel's pronouns. They're she, her, USA. She's just so passionate about America. USA is finally comfortable with herself." Something dumb like that, which now he called me and told me about it, and we started laughing about it for like an hour. It was funny because
That's kind of funny.
the thing is they were trying to get back at him for being offensive, and they just made a fool out of themselves. I mean, even more than they already are, being gay.
Hey, be nice.
You don't want me to tell you what this person's online name is.
Oh, okay. Well, I suppose I'd have to meet them
I think they have
to
Ukraine
really.
in their bio, which is even worse.
Well, a lot of people don't understand what's really going on, and
Well, no,
people
they
are
just think,
easily influenced by
yeah. All they know
large
about
things like the
Ukraine and
news.
Russia is a Kamala Harris quote. Ukraine is a country, and Russia is a bigger country, and they are bad. They're mean. The extent of the knowledge.
Right. Well, people need to do their own research and come up with their own opinions and not rely so much on, the local news, the the big alphabet news agencies. When you look into just about any subject, whether it be politics or current events or anything like that, you find that sometimes the story isn't everything you were just told, and you can understand all the subtle nuances of any given story better if you just look into it and find out both sides of the, let's just call it the argument,
The
and
argument.
then decide for
It's
yourself.
definitely an argument.
uh, you know uh, Throughout my life, I've not always done that, and once I got to a certain point, I did start doing that and looking into different things. I would. He's worse. He's a Watsy. Just do your own research, and I know most, see, that's the trick the bad guys use, is most people don't have the time or the inclination to do that. They'll just look at it the way we used to. Oh, the news would never lie to us. Walter Cronkite's a good guy. He'll give me the straight story. When in fact he was
That's
one of
never
them.
been the case.
Right. Why would it ever be the case? Um,
Yeah, I mean,
if you have that
there's this.
kind of power, it's really hard to not be tempted by it and use it, to your advantage. I mean, life's
Well,
short,
yeah,
and
but
get a
the
helmet.
problem is when you get liberals into power. That's where the problem really starts.
Well, I know you like to go that direction, and while I may or may not agree,
You do.
anybody with power, is gonna be tempted, and not everybody with power
Well, everyone is
resists the
tempted all
temptation.
the time.
Pardon?
Everyone is tempted all of the time.
Right, but I mean,
And so it may be in different
until you've
ways,
really
but
been tempted with something, until you've been really tempted with something that powerful, that big, and life changing, it's hard to say what you would do in a situation like that. I know we all like to think we're the better person, and we would rise to the challenge and resist the temptation to do the things that would get us you
well, it's
know
happened before.
in trouble.
I know people. I see the comment. I know people. Hold up. Oh, okay, never mind.
Power corrupts, absolute power corrupts absolutely. Yeah,
Yeah, but there's not a single person on earth who's ever attained absolute power.
well, obviously not godlike absolute power, but absolute power in the decision making process of their local area is a lot of power that most people don't normally ever have access to, and that does things to you. You can you know fulfill your dreams that you couldn't otherwise, which is actually a cop out, because I know if you really have a dream and you really want to make it come true, all it takes is perseverance. If you never give up, you will obtain some measure of that dream. And, if you really, put your nose to the grindstone and bust your ass, you'll obtain, you know, more than you ever imagined. I know I have, and it may sound cliche, but I'm doing things I never thought I'd get to do with with different things behind the scenes that I can't really talk about right now. Little guy will attest to the fact that
Things are
one of
epic
my
in some respects.
one of my absolute childhood dreams is becoming a reality, and every day he and I actually see it coming a little closer.
Yeah.
I would be a fantastic benevolent dictator, says Mage's musing. Refer to
Right.
all of you as my minions. Oh wait.
That's basically El Salvador's current dictator. I saw a funny video about him.
Absolutely corrupt, but excellent nonetheless.
Yeah, El Salvador's dictator, greatest. One of the greatest presidents in Latin America right now.
There's a few surprises out there in the world of politics. There's people,
Yeah.
doing some good. It's not all, awfulness and horrible corruption, but
Yeah. But again,
even some of those guys could, you know, come across that one thing. We all have a Hail Mage, our new leader. Everybody's got that one thing. I like to assume that they would, break all the rules for. Whether it's love of money, love of family or friends, or the love of your life, or something like that. We all have weaknesses, and
well, yeah,
sometimes
but the idea that leaders can't be good just at all, or that the chance of them being good is so ridiculously small that to assume that it will never happen will be not only a safe assumption, but a not just a safe or worthwhile assumption, but the only assumption that makes logical sense to make is ridiculous. Countless times throughout history, we've
well,
seen great leaders, and yeah, whilst most of them have been besmirched by neoliberal and neoconservative propaganda, they still
is it a
exist.
puppet dictatorship? Oh my God, Mike, that was excellent, excellent.
Oh, speaking of puppets, I want to make a puppet.
Well,
Excellent.
maybe Sean can hook you up with his master puppeteer, or give you some tips. And Mage solemnly swears to systematically deprive you all of your basic human rights. Thank you so much. I was getting so tired of my humdrum, decision making parts of my life. Will you please, take away that burden for me? Yeah, no, never mind. That was the evil shadow talking.
Well, I
Yeah,
mean, most things which are considered human rights nowadays are anything but.
well, you'd have to give me a little more information than that. I kind of know what you mean, but um, you know, specifics are helpful. And Mage says, my puppet maker is elderly retired mother who gets easily bored. Oh, okay. Well, no worries. A couple of tips or anything like that, wouldn't hurt if she has any. Um, I'm assuming she's a family member. Uh, and if so, well, either way, tell her that her creation, so to speak, what she did, um, entertains and brings joy to the lives of countless millions of viewers on YouTube. And I'm not being facetious, because it really does warm the cockles of this old heart of mine. Uh,
I thought you got rid of
it
it.
brings back so many memories, not of any particular puppets. And if I had to actually mention one, it would actually not be like Sesame Street, but it would probably be like Lamb Chop. She was just such uh, a sweet lady, or at least that's the way it seemed. I mean, she could have been an evil witch, but I'm going to go with she was a sweet lady, who also, brought joy to people's lives, because that was just such a sweet character. And growing up as a kid, I didn't get to watch a lot of that, um, but the little bit that I did, I was just like, you know, very young and very innocent. And when I think about it, it reminds me that everybody should get a little taste of that, to see if maybe they're willing to try to bring that back into somebody's life. When I watch things about what's being taught to children these days, it's like that's the last thing they would ever allow, or desire, is for children to actually enjoy their innocence 1 second longer than these monsters want.
Well, that's because that's what ah that's because that's an accurate description of what they are.
Okay, hold on. I got to read what Sean's been saying here. She's been paying attention to the growth, though she has no interest in channel content. My mother sadly was an anti-gamer. She hated games growing up, only played because my sister and I wanted to, but she's ever supportive of our endeavors. Well, she's her mom. If she wasn't, she would be, you know, needing help. Let's put it that mildly. Of course, she's going to care. She may not, uh, come from a place of understanding of how enjoyable these hobbies are. I was in a game recently, and it occurred to me, I'm sitting here with people in their 40s and 50s and younger, um,
Oh,
and and it occurred to me that here's a bunch of old farts playing this silly game, you know, uh, that we all grew up playing, sort of. Um, most of our life or throughout our life. And here we are, playing this silly game, you know, treating it with as much seriousness as you could, putting together your, field stripping your primary firearm, let's say. I mean, deadly serious, heart surgery serious, giving it the absolute seriousness that you would, give to something other than a game like this, and yet doing that, and yet at the same time laughing their asses off, having the freaking time of their lives, you know, maybe some of them were reminiscing about the old days, but it really didn't seem like that. It seemed like they were in the moment of the game, giving it their all, and just it, yeah. May just give me a second, and it was just a really real surreal feeling that I got in the middle of this game. It's like this is really something unique. This is a really unique situation, hobby, whatever you want to call it, that we're all very much invested in, and I could see why other people don't get it. It's unfortunate and it's kind of sad, but you know, I consider each and every one of us, thoroughly and literally blessed to be in this hobby. RPG Grandma says the children of today are not being allowed to be children. They're expected to behave like dysfunctional white collared employees at age 5. I think you mean white collared, like white collar. I hope that's what you mean. We are creating worlds, worlds, I tell you, says Sean from Ages Musing. And you are absolutely correct. And I honestly, believe that, everybody out there who ever gets into this hobby should really do that. Should like I I, I did this once. I made one for someone else. I made like what I thought was their, would be like their dream world, and I gave it to them as a present, one Christmas because I didn't have any money and I wanted to give them something. And I know for a fact they carried that map with them everywhere they went. Yeah, RPG Michael Stronghold, welcome to the show, buddy. Says RPG Grandma gets it. She gets it. She gets a lot. If you guys haven't, checked her out recently, go do so. I have to apologize because I've been so freaking busy this last week that I have missed almost every one of your shows. But that will give me something to do later on during the week when I do actually have some free time. So please forgive me. I will get to it, Grandma, and you'll know because I'll leave a comment because I always do. And okay, I'm not singing that, mages. Reminiscing this and that, having such a good time. Ooh, Dolly, ooh, ooh, Dolly, Lolly, Golly, what a game.
Someone
Yes,
clip that.
collared. Yeah, because Grandma, that could have come off really,
Racist.
well. Anyway, maybe. I mean, she's a white lady, so and she could be misinterpreted as being a Karen, but we all know better than that because RPG Grandma's awesome. And unless your name really is Karen, in which case I'm terribly, terribly sorry. But you're number one in my book, and I keep my promises, Grandma. We're gonna make you famous, whether you like it or not. Let's just hope it's for a good thing, and not because you went all, I need to see your manager on us. But she's gonna unsub because her name's Grandma. I'm gonna feel terrible. I mean, because her name's Karen. It's like, how'd you guess? Just joking, Grandma. Just joking. Just trying to, make light of, Wednesday evening. How many of you guys went over and watched? I know, Grandma. I was just I totally know your name because that's how I met you. It wasn't RPG Grandma, and well, you know the story. You were there. Um, you don't know? No, I don't. Mages. Haven't you watched Disney's? Oh my God, that's what I thought. It's funny you mentioned that. That was literally, Sean. That was literally the very first movie I ever saw in the theater, and to this day, I got two copies of
Explains
Robin
why
Hood
you're a
right here on my
communist.
bookshelf. You're gonna have to excuse me, folks. I not only do I need a cigarette break, but I need to go downstairs and strangle my son, Homer Simpson style. Let me put one more coat on the red. I did some of the orange transitioning into red. That's a better angle, but I'm gonna have to go over that. But it's not
It's
the
weird. My
same
life
red.
expectancy diminishes every time I speak. It's weird.
Welcome to the club, kiddo. It's called getting old.
That's not what I
And
meant.
Michael, I bet that was a absolute blast. I wish I could have watched that. Jack's life expectancy just diminished. I wish I could have watched that with Jackie when he was a kid, and he'd have some respect for a classic tale of good versus evil, not communism versus
The righteous
the
monarch.
monarchy. Yeah. When
No,
when
the
when you,
very
you see
first,
when you see people.
the oldest ever record, maybe not the oldest, but one of the very first ever recorded writings of Robin Hood described him as the murderer Robin Hood, who was so famous with the something along the lines. It was the Scotch and Omicron, I believe it's called, which is just the entire history of Scotland from like the beginning of Earth to whenever it was written. And it's like, then appeared the famous murderer Robin Hood. It was very epic. You should
Michael,
read it
I
if it wasn't,
really hope
you know,
that that
real.
that you aren't as lucky as I am when it comes to kids trolling you. Um,
As lucky.
but at the same time, I do because it's actually a joy and it keeps me honest and young and old at the same time. If that makes any sense. I told him while we were watching, he's returning the taxes state took from the poor. Ha 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 ha. Yeah, I never looked at it like that as a youngster. I just saw that people were suffering and unable to eat and just have the bare minimums, while the money wasn't really going anywhere other than into somebody's treasure room. Uh, as a kid, it's not really explained or gone into it, but the all the people who are collecting the money are like fat and not starving to death and not miserable, but yet the people that the money's being taken from are miserable,
Well, yeah,
and
tax
they're taking
collectors
the
are
last
pretty
little,
cringe. I agree with you there.
the last, the only money they have. So how are they now going to buy food? I didn't understand farming back then. um so I just saw it as oppression and suffering being relieved by, the character of Robin Hood, who would then, make sure that, all the little kids and all the mommies and daddies would be able to eat the next day. Because, I never went without, breakfast, lunch, and dinner growing up. And I just couldn't imagine how much that must have, sucked to be those poor, animals in the Robin Hood story, having their money taken away from them by the big old bad guys.
Well, yeah, but I imagine that's what Soviet propaganda was saying for a long time about the Tsardom.
Hey, you know what? There's no excuse why the country needs to take so much that the people starve. It's like then whatever
Well, yeah,
your goal is, it's not time for it yet. You know what I mean?
well, obviously
Uh,
not. As I said, tax collectors are gay, but still, that's not what I'm saying at all. What I'm saying is just, it's revolutionary Republican slash communist propaganda to overturn the traditional Christian way of life that has existed for thousands of years. And revolutionaries have used similar propaganda for their entire existence, and it has been very effective considering supposed right wingers now are defending Enlightenment ideas all the time.
oh, folks, I got bad news for you. I got to step away from the camera,
Oh no.
which means you're stuck with him for like 5 minutes. I'm willing to bet that when I come back, the number of eyeballs on the screen is either going to be drastically less or somehow magically much higher. Who wants to take those odds? Not this guy. I'll be right back, folks. Be nice.
Be nice to who exactly?
Michael, Sean, Grandma, Holy Diver, if he's still there, whoever's, in the chat, they're hanging out with us. So let's tell them a story.
Okay, he wants me to tell you a story, and I will think of one. What's something? What's something that most people? Last week of school. Instead, I'm going to explain why Kaiser Wilhelm II was very epic. I think that's a much better idea. In order to get a much better, not necessarily summary, this is a summary is going to be what I explain now. There is actually a great video series. It's 2 hours long, and sadly, it's made by a Muslim guy. I know, but he's cool. He's from Bosnia, very epic. He made a 2 hour long video explaining pretty much everything about the Kaiser's rule. When I started watching it, I was definitely in the camp of, yeah, monarchs are cool, but he was kind of dumb. Well, yeah, that's certainly true, but But I suppose that's not set in stone. No, I mean, it kind of is. But let me just finish this paint right here, and then I'll get back to it. But, yeah. If you want an in-depth explanation on any of that, which I doubt most of you do, but just in case, his name's Lavender, makes a lot of videos on, general European and sometimes outside of Europe, history, politics, occasionally economics, though again, his economics are essentially capitalism bad, socialism bad, and we need something else, which is like, yes, that's true, but what else do we have? There's better alternatives to just, let's figure something else out. We have something to work with now, and that is the greatest alternative, because obviously socialism has proven itself to be a complete and utter failure every time it has been tried. And, well, capitalism, unrestricted and in a liberal framework, has led to this, which neither are desirable. Poverty everywhere, inflation rampant aren't things that we want, but it's not like liberalism, homosexuality, degeneracy are that much better. To some they are, but yeah, that's besides the point. But yeah, I guess the point of this whole speech is that I find the idea that corporations, especially big corporations, I know that this has nothing to do with the original topic, but I'm much more passionate about this than the other stuff, should just be allowed to run rampant and propagate their propaganda all of the time without any checks is ridiculous. Libertarianism. You will have to. Oh, okay. I mean, yeah, but you might eventually. Well, yeah, but I'm hopefully I don't misinterpret what you're saying here. But oh, he's back. Actual liberals aren't really much better than modern progressives. I mean, of course, one's worse than the other, but I like to think of it as
Lord, what did I do? Sorry,
stage
guys.
4 cancer is
And
infinite.
I was wrong. Our eyeballs have actually increased.
Oh wow!
I wonder who's sneaking in not in the chat.
Well, I like to think of it as progressivism is just stage 4 cancer, whilst liberalism is just stage 2 cancer.
Consider this an early birthday present. Thank you, Michael.
Thank you.
He is. He is. I'm not even exaggerating. He's possibly the smartest member of the Shadow family for many a generation, or at least all of the ones I've met on both sides of the family. He got straight A's this year, made honor roll, something I only did once in my life, and that's a story for another time.
Oh no! I'd like to hear this story. I've never heard it. Did you give drugs to the principal?
No.
Is that your brother?
I got in some trouble. I got in some trouble as a kid, and I had to go to a continuation high school. A lot of you guys probably know what that is. That's like where they send all the problem kids. And it didn't end there. I got into some really big trouble, and I wasn't even at that school anymore because I was in the kid jail kind of thing. That's the kind of trouble I got into.
Baby jail.
We were just talking about, Charlotte, don't you go anywhere. And while I was in juvenile hall, I'd actually made honor roll at the school, the continuation school that I was at. And I got notified, and so did everybody else, that I had made honor roll, even though I was, sitting in a 10 by 10 room that wasn't home. It was kind of humorous, but yeah, he got straight A's this year. He just blew away all the possible expectations anybody could have had about him, considering his previous. Well, okay, smart guy. If you'd seen his previous grades and his previous, school, report cards, no one would have expected that he would just make a complete turnaround. And I honestly have to blame it on, the thing that happened, where all the kids had to stay home and were denied the basic ability to go to a real school. It was weird because during COVID, he actually got an A in PE while homeschooling. Go figure. That how does that happen, right, folks? I mean, the kid, he was literally, doing like jumping jacks in front of the camera. That was his PE class. His legs were moving. He's just doing this, and he got an A in PE, but the rest of his grades were shit. And but then the next year he went to high school, and straight A's, first lieutenant in JROTC, and
cadet first lieutenant,
fencing class, chess club, all these amazing things. Actual liberals are voting right if we have any IQ right now, says Michael. Charlotte says, hey, everybody, it's kind of hard to hear Shadow. Okay, sorry about that. But Charlotte, I was just talking about you and you can go rewind the
Okay.
thing. I want to see those pictures of what you did with your prize from our 500 video giveaway, 500 sub giveaway. I really want to see, what you did, not to judge or anything, just to see what your painting style is, and how much fun you probably had with all those wonderful miniatures you got from Archon Studios. Um, and who are you saying goodnight to?
Oh, Sama?
Oh, okay. And Samo is a good friend of ours from the Quantum Show with Nathan Allen, and a friend of all the people at I believe Spaced Out Radio, etc. Welcome to the show, my friend. It's good to see you here. Samo's a good friend of ours, and a wonderful addition to the family of weirdos that hang out on Saturday nights talking about the paranormal. I was hoping Raven was going to join us tonight, but I'm guessing she's doing other things. Charlotte says, I've got a webcam. I just need some art supplies. I'm thinking of starting my own. You better. As soon as you think that thought, you are committed to making, one of the greatest YouTube channels of all time. Yeah, you damn right, Samo.
Yep.
You are family. And RPG Grandma says, my niece and nephew I am raising got great grades in AP classes in lockdown because we built science lab complete with microbiology incubator for growing bacteria. Okay, that's terrifying and awesome at the same
He doesn't
time.
understand what
All
half of those letters mean.
I most certainly do understand. That's not my cup of tea. I am literally 50% pure gamer dude and 50% uh UFO paranormal weirdo when I'm
He
not,
is he is pretty
doing.
much just the guy from Ancient Aliens, but instead of having an afro, he has a goatee.
I'm gonna take that as the nicest thing you've said to me all day. I I
Well,
I,
me.
I love Giorgio. I know he's got that weird hair, but that guy lives an amazing freaking life. Hey Travis, how's the beach? I bet it's absolutely stellar. Seriously, Giorgio travels all over the world pursuing his hobby and dream, and flirting with the ladies, and doing all the things. At least I hope he's flirting with the ladies, and doing all the things, and you know uh, doing the Indiana Jones thing in real life, talking to great scientists, and investigators and explorers, and I mean, who wouldn't love to get a chance at that once in their lifetime, to get to go to all these places and meet all these people. And yeah, the guy's he gets a lot of grief because of the hairstyle, which is not like
It
he
wasn't
doesn't
the
care about his hair.
hairstyle that made people make fun of him. It was
Well, it's aliens.
everything
Yeah,
else.
every one of them could be guilty of that, but he just had that look that made it easy to kind of pick on him, I think. But you know what? I've seen a lot of people with that have that particular hairstyle, and it's a thing. It's just like mohawks, or something else. People didn't understand, and when you do, you're like, oh, okay, that's your thing. Okay, cool. Get to know the person underneath the hair, and you might be surprised what you find. Travis, yeah, I miss the beach. I used to live at the beach, and I haven't seen the beach in about a decade. And
I thought it's been four.
we moved. Yeah, it's been so long that I really need to get back into the waves sometime, maybe this year, but we'll see. And Charlotte says, I remember that Ancient Aliens meme. I'm not saying it was aliens, but it was aliens. Yeah, I
Yeah, do you see the new Matt
absolutely.
Walsh video? Or yeah,
Yeah, I saw all of them today. With the thing, I was actually talking to Raven about that, and it turns out she's now a big fan also. Uh,
epic.
she did a video tonight on her channel. Well, I want to say it's 1-2 Radio. It's a radio station, an online radio station where she does a show, and I was getting kind of frustrated because she was talking about something, and I'm like, I should be there right now because you missed something very, very important, and I'm going to talk to her about that, and then maybe she'll do a show on it, or we'll do a show together because she invited me to be on her show in the near future. But if you're into paranormal stuff and you can't get enough on just Saturday night, go check out Radio 12 Radio or Radio 12. I'll get it right one of these days. Um, and Samo says, Shadow and Sun. Yes, you. How can I miss you? Walmart greetings to you. Oh God. And
Warm
wishing you
Walmart.
hooligans an awesome riffing season. Yeah, we are having an absolute wonderful time with his vacation, and it's only 2 days in, so we've got the whole summer ahead of us to do all kinds of neat and goofy things over the course of the next couple of weeks before he goes off to visit family in Mexico. And I wish him to be very careful and very safe and come back because all of you guys will be missing his smart ass comments and know it all attitude, which is always backed up by actual facts, reasons, answers, and truth. Because
Wow, you really are on drugs.
This guy watches the big brain stuff. Yeah, RPG Grandma. I love Ancient Aliens because it gives me so much inspiration for my alien worlds and my D&D gaming worlds, how to make them, like seem, mystical and magical and high tech when they shouldn't be, and knowing things that we've forgotten. And it's so full of inspiration. And I guess, Sean, it's time for him to head to bed. It's almost time for us to do the same thing. We've been doing this for 2 hours, and
Yeah,
but he's on vacation, so I'm stuck here until he wants to call it quits, or I just say,
you
hey, go to
can
bed.
leave if you really want.
Oh yeah, I'm gonna leave you alone with the channel. Ha 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 ha
You
ha. Yeah.
can-
I
Anyways,
know
doesn't make
better than
sense
that.
to just
I would leave. I would come back, and tomorrow morning he'd still be on talking to complete strangers. We would have gotten 50 new subs from a bunch of people who are just rage watching. Going, who is this insane little kid thinking he knows everything? And we would have literally no time left for the rest of the month, and that would deny us the ability to do the Saturday night show and any other shows we want until I think our time, our minutes, whatever, roll over on the 20th of the month, and that's a long wait to go without doing a show. But good night, Sean. It was an absolute pleasure having you here, hang out with us. Again, folks, if you have not subscribed to Mage's Musing, what are you doing with your life? Get out there, sub, go make up fake accounts and sub again.
yeah, you're an expert on that, aren't you?
Oh no, not even close. And Grandma says, exactly. Ancient Aliens is inspirational fun. Yeah, I never take it too serious. There are people on there I like. There are people on there I
Well,
can't stand.
you say that,
There,
but I've woken up several times too. Well, is it possible that Hitler and Stalin were actually both fathered by the same alien?
I have never seen that episode. I want to see that one. I think you're just making that up, um, or
Eh,
exaggerating. But
no, I'm downplaying
it's
it.
a fun show. Uh, it's just I read my father's copy of uh Chariots of the Gods when I was very young, and I experienced a UFO sighting of my own when I was very young, and the
We all
Travis
have
Walton
to.
thing was a big deal, and it just I couldn't get enough of that stuff. I wanted to know more. What was really going on? Why is this a thing? Why are there so many movies about alien invasions? Why is that a thing? I needed to understand, and uh, I think there's nothing wrong with asking questions. It's when you stop
Well, yeah.
questioning things. I think when you stop questioning things in the real world, that's when you run afoul of propaganda and thoughts that aren't your own, and you know go out there and find out you know, uh, develop your own opinions. Don't just take somebody else's you know ideas as gospel unless it is the gospel
I
of
was about to
your
say.
choosing, and then enjoy that to the fullest, and make your life better through the pursuit of knowledge, and indulging your curiosities wherever you can. Okay. All right, folks. Now, what do you think? Let's get the better side. He's actually got a good side and a bad side, like in the old, movie days. But I don't know if you can see the transition from orange to red. It actually blended pretty nicely, without actually blending. Just they're a similar color enough to where the transition is nice. And I've got a few places of bony area to redo on his claws and the spines on his arms, but he's actually starting to. Oh, there's a little more I can do right there, but then I'm almost done painting. Michael says I cannot communicate complicated topics in this format. Yeah, you only get 100 letters, and don't feel bad because even when I get the whole screen to myself, I have a hard time, communicating complicated topics. Um, it must have been all the drugs I
Don't
did
you
in the
have a hard
60s.
time communicating?
I know, Raven. I've used that joke way too much lately, but it just fits, so I'm just gonna roll with it. Um,
Have you seen the video where people pass a basketball around and a gorilla walks into the middle of the thing and dances? But because they told you to count how many times the ball was passed, most people who watch the video don't notice the gorilla until it's pointed out to them.
no, but that sounds quite entertaining.
I'd show you the
I
video,
actually
but I just
like.
spoiled it to you. So
I love stuff like that. Like when Mark Dice was doing the Save the Triceratops videos, he'd go down. I think he was in San Diego on the beach, getting people to sign a petition to save the Triceratops from the big game hunters, and people were signing the petition
well,
left and
to be
right.
completely fair, those people were dumb, but they also didn't care at all. They were just like, "Oh, someone wants me to sign this, sure, whatever." Probably not paying attention to
But
what
he
he
was
said.
wearing a shirt. He was wearing a shirt with the Triceratops on it. Save the Triceratops. That's just and there's all kinds of other
Well, yeah,
videos
when we're
out there.
talking about the same generation who, when asked what the Civil War was, they said, quote, the Nazis versus the Germans.
Fair enough. Fair enough. Yeah, there are some dumb people out there. You know, thank God we it's not everybody, because then we would you know be closer and closer to living in the movie Idiocracy, which is something I think you'll all agree that Jackie needs to watch before the summer's over.
Oh, well, I mean, we're
Because
already
that
living in it. Joe Biden's the president,
well,
after all.
you ain't lying, is he, folks?
I rarely do that.
We certainly don't have any evidence to suggest that Hitler wasn't an alien. Oh my God, Charlie, you're killing.
Wait, where?
Did
Oh,
all you see the gorilla human experiment in the old USSR documentary? No, Grandma. I am 100% certain that it's nightmarish. But feel free to describe it in the chat.
have you heard
Um,
of
yeah, it was ruined for me before I saw the video, so I obviously saw the gorilla. Oh, sorry to hear that, Michael. A lot of them don't even seem to remember 2 years ago unless they're trying to cancel someone. Yeah. Oh, we're there. Oh, we're there in idiocracy. Oh, okay, I get it. Yeah. And I do live, in California, and Demolition Man. Yeah, that's another good example. But uh, like I was telling my friend the other day, the movie Sun and Green, Silent Running, Rollerball, and Logan's Run, and to believe it or not, Logan's Run is probably one of the ones I'm more terrified of. I mean, yeah, I don't want to be eating people, on Tuesday because it's
Logan's Run
Sun and
is the
Green
most
Day.
realistic to me. Not Logan's Run, Rollerball. I haven't seen Logan's Run yet.
Yeah, we have to see Logan's Run this summer. Rollerball is my favorite of the three because it ends. It kind of ends like Conquest of the Planet of the Apes. Jonathan, Jonathan. That end of that rollerball was just, because we'd watch Silent Running and Silent Green, followed by uh, Rollerball, which is the order you have to watch them because they are a trilogy. I could have the order of Silent Running and Silent Green out of order, but you need to watch those three movies in order because that's the way they came out, and because I think 2 out of 3 were written by Harry Harrison, which makes them, in my opinion, a full-blown trilogy. But then followed up with not Rollerball, but Logan's Run, because that's what happens, I think, next in the bad guys' plan for the real world. I'm yeah.
Do you have a uniform gray up there?
Uniform gray,
Yeah.
ash gray, necromancer cloak. I don't. Maybe it's a. Hold on. Maybe it's a Viejo.
It's not Vallejo, it's not my painter.
Then absolutely no. I do not. Wait,
Well,
wait.
and that's all, folks. I'm done for today. I ran out of paint. Goodbye.
Okay, folks. I too am at a point where I cannot paint
No, no,
anymore.
no, 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 no. We're not ending this. No.
Oh, okay, fine.
We'll go on for
I
this one.
literally can't do any more. I have to let this guy dry overnight. But I think it's coming along quite nicely. I suppose I could do the face, but to be honest, I'm not sure what I want to do the face with. And because the army painter dripped, which it will do, it ran right through those crevices down the face. So I'm gonna re-white the face. So because I want the face to be a little bit more distinguishable when I do it, but I am done painting this guy for tonight. This was a lot of fun. I actually, in 2 hours, wow, he looks really good in brighter light. Wow, that is a beautiful model. I really am looking forward to giving away one of these for some lucky, friend of ours, because Archon makes great models. And just to give you an idea, guys, this thing, I'm holding it by the tail, and I had to glue it, and with bottle glue, it's a permanent weld. But I mean, if you were to hit somebody with this thing, it would be considered a deadly weapon. I mean, this thing is just massive, and to get it on the table for a role playing game or war game or something like that is gonna be an absolute blast. RPG Grandma says Death Race 2000, the original. Yeah, I could see that too. As like a little chapter off to the side of one of the other movies. Thanks, Michael. Archon Studios truly makes some of the best stuff. I know you guys, probably have all heard of Games Workshop, and their stuff's good. I'm working on a couple of Titans here for Epic Space Marines, and they are beautiful miniatures. They're
So,
very complex. But Archon, they charge like sometimes a tenth of the price, if not less. And even with shipping from Poland, their stuff is just phenomenal. If you haven't checked out one of their Kickstarters, it's okay. You can go to their online web store, Archon Studios Dungeons and Lasers. Their terrain is fabulous. They're coming out with new stuff all the dang time, and they're finally going to do caves and caverns for their Dungeons and Lasers terrain system, so that instead of having nothing but straight walls like Lego dungeons, you're actually going to be able to make twisting caves and caverns. Because what good dungeon doesn't actually have some rough hewn caves and tunnels and things like that for it? And people have been asking since the very beginning, and this is their fifth, so it'll be their sixth Kickstarter in, that means 6 years. We, as in Jackie and I, have been big fans and friends of Archon Studios since the very beginning, and they're finally getting around to something that we've all been waiting for. It's going to be so nice to be able to like build Lego style, dungeons that include caverns, caves, and tunnels and waterfalls and the whole bit. Um, Grandma says, though I think Logan's Run youth culture is like Antifa. I get that, Grandma, but I look at it more like more like the all of the college students that are being brainwashed into believing all the other stuff, the ones that aren't tough enough to go out and try to cause stir up shit, but they just they're the mushroom people. They just live in the dark, eat the BS, and do what they're told, and go through life thinking they're better than everybody, and that they're perfect and they're beautiful and they're smart and they're stunning and brave, and they just they don't understand what's outside in the real world, the outside the 15 minute cities, outside the domes, the whole wide world of forest and green and mother nature, and the way life really should be. The little guy's going to be you know going to have some words to say when we watch that movie. um, And Michael Stronghold said to RPG Grandma, I always think of Starship Troopers. The little guy needs to see that movie as well, because I know he's watched a lot of videos about it.
I have.
But uh, it's actually a world I could tolerate compared to the one they're heading for. Maybe generations from now that'll be closer to the fact. Yeah, they have no idea what freedom is. You're so right, Grandma.
Yeah, because
Because
since
freedom's scary. It
well, yeah,
really
but
is to
since the
these
very
people.
beginning of the Enlightenment, people have been warping what liberty and freedom, what those words mean. They've taken them to be. People have genuinely turned freedom into the satanic creed. Just do what thou wilt, do whatever you want. Oh, if it feels good, do it. As long as you're not hurting anybody, you can do it. No, there's supposed to be order. There's supposed to be civilization, and again, we don't live in a vacuum. Sure, there used to be, and things were stable with these kind of things. There would be, like, in dark alleyways, there was degeneracy, and certain perverted, disgusting people would go there and do their things, but it was generally outside of society. But they would still probably be imprisoned if they were caught doing it, because people acknowledge that when people do things, they take that energy, if you want to say, to other people around them. So the idea that it just, as long as you're not hurting anyone, if as long as you consent to two consenting adults, it doesn't matter, or however many, it doesn't matter. No, there needs to be order. There needs to be values and traditions that need to be respected, because they've existed for thousands of years and they've worked. And then all of a sudden, some people got a little too drunk and they had a little bit too much money at the same time, and we have the Enlightenment, and now things have been going on a downward spiral for 2 centuries.
A couple things. The book is always better, referring to Starship Troopers, and Tiki the Hut says Starship Troopers is a must read if you're considering military service commissioning. I absolutely agree. I'm trying to find a copy of it that's not $25 for the paperback. It was one of my very first science fiction books that I read in like the 7th grade, and it stuck with me. It was such a just an awesome book. Everything about it. And yes, Jackie and I actually are aware that the movie was made by a commie that thought
Yep.
he was making a satire but never read the book. And
Yeah,
like
he
so
wasn't
many
he
people,
wasn't he quoted as saying that he only read the first 2 chapters and never anything past that? Because yeah, he was openly, like, he said he basically said that it was an Antifa movie. That this is explaining the evils of fascism and how bad patriotism and nationalism are.
right.
It's ridiculous.
And like so many people who try to make a satire out of something that's quite
Good.
literally a classic, it always backfires right in their
Because
stupid
typically
faces,
when
and I
people
couldn't be happier.
Yeah, because typically when people make a satire of something, they take something to its farthest conclusion, its most extreme conclusion, all the way to the end of the bar, the end of the spectrum. And when somebody who is immoral tries to satire morality, they just end up making something which is extremely good for, I suppose you could say, all
Yeah,
the wrong
just
reasons.
like Michael Stronghold said, the movie came out amazing on accident, basically, which is still awesome, because that's the way it works. When you
Mhm.
try to do an evil like that will affect so many people and brainwash them and corrupt them, it invariably backfires right again in their stupid faces. Yes, Charlotte, 25 for a paperback. You got to be kidding me. But you know what? The hardbacks are actually cheaper, which is really what I want as a hardback copy. But my friend Grimm, who I hope every one of you will say a small silent prayer for him so he can come back to the show as my sidekick when we do the well, not sidekick. I mean, it was his idea. My good friend Grim pushed me to do the prepper videos that you guys are all always in the chat, and I thank you for that. He's supposedly got a copy of it for me, and the leaders stepped down to their failure on their initial assault in the movie. Some fascist, right? I know.
Yeah,
Uh,
because everyone knows that when a fascist leader fails militarily, the first thing they do is willingly give up power.
right, right. No, they just push harder. And Tiki the Hut, I've never seen or read any of the Ender's Game. Is that what it was? I just missed your. Yeah, Ender's Game is another. I'll have to check that out. I honestly didn't hear enough about it to
I heard
want
it
to
was
check it out, but
amazing.
I'll take your word for it. Also, a press broadcasting their own death in combat, uncensored. They couldn't even imagine back then. I know. Yeah,
Yeah,
we don't have a used bookstore within 100 miles to an hour traveling distance from where I live, and it's literally a crime how many of those bookstores disappeared because of not just COVID, but when they realized that any single book, if they throw it online, they can ask 5 times the price they used to ask. Because if someone's looking for a book, they really want the book. They're willing to pay to not have to drive to the thrift store to go rummaging through book, which to me was like a joy and a pleasure. It was better than going to the library because I could walk in, grab the book, and I would own that book forever. And trust me,
mhm.
my library and my
Though,
book
to be
collection.
completely fair, we do have a Thanos fitness center, which I say makes it worth it.
But yeah, we have a Thanos Fitness Center, which is where the old bookstore used to be. But when we got here, cool, there's a bookstore. We go there, and it's an empty building with the sign still up saying that it's a bookstore. 11 freaking years later. That's how tiny of a town we live in, where there are no bookstores because there are no people here who read, I guess. Another way you can tell it isn't fascist dystopia is when they screw up and lose hundreds of thousands of troops. Everyone knows about it through the media. Hitler would have had them cover it up. Good point. Yeah, yeah. And
Yeah.
well, you know, then we win.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair,
I
all
love
of the
the way
military have done that.
I love the book more, but I really do enjoy things about the movie. They're like two different alternate reality versions of the same story. The original is better with those powered Iron Man suits. That was just I reread it this last couple of months ago, and I
But
was
we
just
have a
reading
book.
it thinking this had to be the inspiration for the comic book Iron Man. It had to be. There's just no way around that. It just seems
Oh,
like
hey,
that
look who's
was
here.
who.
Hasn't shown up yet?
Hey, James, how's it going, buddy? We were actually just talking about you, kind of, sort of,
Not really, really.
a while, a
I
while
thought we were
ago.
talking about
Um, or
uh,
was I talking about you on my previous video?
probably previous
I
video.
don't know. We're always talking about you behind your back. Hope you don't mind, man. And little guy's still itching to hang out with you. I made him do the Discord thing. But he's actually had school this week, volunteering to go to school this week. Well, you saw him in your videos in your chat. Um,
Yeah, I was there today.
yeah, I actually wasn't. I was I think making dinner or something.
No,
Uh, and hopefully Hungar is doing good. We all miss him. Uh, you know, uh, but you know what? Like I said earlier today, uh, if he doesn't ever do the show again, um, as much as we'll miss him, we'll understand that he's out there, having the time of his life, and that's way, 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 way more important. Um, and Robert Heinlein gets it. That's all I'm saying. Yeah, yeah. Well, I don't know if he still gets it. I don't know if he's still alive, but he definitely, wrote some of the more influential sci-fi books in my life, and I even mean some of the kind of kid books like ours for Rocket Ship, or things like that. Some of those books were still very, very much a great part of my growing up as a kid, reading them, all the way up to Stranger in a Strange Land and The Moon is a Harsh Mistress. I read a number of the Beast, and I honestly can't remember a damn thing that happened in it. While I can remember Glory Road, that was a freaking weird book. It was actually quite funny, but really, really weird. Um, Door into Summer, all those great books. If you get the chance, go out and grab some books this summer, and hold on to them until winter, and you'll have good books to you know uh, get under a blanket, and weather the winter wherever you might be. Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Isn't it kind of like late for you, James? What, it's like 10:30, 11:30, 12:30, or 1:30 in the morning there for you? You must. I know you did like me. You had to get up to pee, and you checked your tablet just to see, or your device to see if you had any email or something, and you saw, oh, Shadow and Son's doing a live paint and politicking. Oh, I got to stop in, right?
Yeah.
That's what it was. I do that all the time, and damn, I'm such an idiot for doing that most of the time, because I'll get up, I'll have to go to the bathroom, I'll check my stuff, and lay back down, and next thing I know, 2 hours have passed of me watching stupid videos. You know, really, Grandma, when I do that, I tend to just sweat and get, oh my God, and here comes Cal. How's it going, buddy? At least I got my Terrasque now. Hey, what do you think, Cal? Pretty spiffy, huh? Pretty spiffy. I got a lot more work to do on it, but freaking, I'm glad to hear you finally got your stuff uh, from Archon. They're just absolutely great stuff. We got to get some Archon stuff over to DM James. We got to find a way to make him win the contest or something.
Oh yeah, he was talking about it for a bit on live stream. Said he really
And yes,
likes
I have heard of Lee Brackett. I don't think I've ever read any, but I do remember reading it. I mean, seeing the name in the sci-fi section of my local bookstores growing up. Uh, maybe shoot me a book title or two when you get a chance. Thanks, Cal. I did most of this in 2 hours. Mostly, I have dry brushing and edge highlighting. Not a lot of it, because it's not really. But don't worry, Cal. They will make it up to you in spades. They'll do whatever it takes to make sure you get everything you ordered, and it won't take very long. They've been absolutely wonderful. They really are one of the best miniature companies out there. I know, James, you're a big GW fan, but when you see, like, here, let me show you this. I don't know if you've ever seen this, James, but this is a tank model they make. Okay. See if I can bring it in closer for you. It's got all the moving parts and stuff. The turret moves up and down a little. The back end opens up for troops loading and unloading. This is like I want to say it's about a $30 model. Okay, and I've got five more to build. It's solid. It's not like a light typical game piece. Take care, Tiki the Hut. Did you check out the tank? I know you're a tank dude, or at least I think you're a tank dude. But James, they really make good stuff. And tell me you couldn't use this in your Imperial Guard army somehow. I mean, look at that bad boy. And let's see. Charlotte says it's kind of hard to find her stuff in print anymore, but she had scripted some films, including the first draft of Empire Strikes Back. Ah, okay. That was the last project she ever worked on. Okay. Uh, Again, titles. I'll eventually find what I'm looking for. I've got actually people out looking for books for me with lists of books because I just don't have a bookstore. Uh, which is probably why I will someday open a bookstore once I get to Texas. And Cal says I've been watching a 24-hour program on D-Day only in 10 hours or so. So you watched it double speed, or you're only 10 hours into it?
Yeah, no, he's only 10 hours into it, is what I
Okay,
assume that
cool,
means.
cool. Yeah, I just can't for the life of me, turn the TV on to watch like regular TV or cable or anything like that. I'm always watching, literally most of my friends on the internet or other things, other channels that I like that are gaming related or UFO or paranormal related or how-to videos and product review videos for my survival gear and things like that. Oh, it's on one of your YouTube channels. Okay, cool. Send it to me in Discord, and I'll shoot it over to the little guy, and you can rest assured he'll probably watch it over the course of the summer. No, Jack.
Hmm?
I said maybe you'll watch it over the course of the summer.
Maybe,
If
but I
Cal
do
sent us.
admit it.
Oh, yeah, it's true. He's not like the World War II guy like Brian and some of the other old farts are. That was that
Yeah,
was
I'm
the
more
only
interested in World War
historical
One.
period I could really get into growing up as a kid. Uh, Mostly because my father's influence, and
Yeah,
also because in high school we would do ancient history, up to the history of the United States, and we would for some reason stop at like the Civil War or the Revolutionary War every year for 12 years. It was the same like history class, and we would never get to World War II, never. So that was what I wanted to know was what happens next, and then the next year back into history. Oh, we're doing this again. Oh, we're going to start with cavemen and move our way up to and look at the back of the book. Sure enough, Civil War, and then that's the end of American history. Skipping the greatest generation of all time. I don't know what kind of uh, crap that was, but so
liberalism.
it pushed me into learning a little bit, not a lot. I mean, there's way more knowledgeable people when it comes to that sort of thing, but at least I could get interested in it. But we are going to actually end it now.
Really?
Sorry, James, that you came in at the end. Tiki is probably already left the building, but I hope you have a great evening. Everybody else who's hung out with us all night, um, you know, really appreciate it. I think we'll be doing more of these over the summer, and then when school season starts back up, little guy's gonna have to do the things and keep his grades up. No worries, Cal. Really, it's nice seeing you again. I haven't seen you in kind of a while because Fritz has been, on hiatus. Take care, Charlotte. Everybody out there, we love you guys. We really enjoy hanging out with you. Anything you want to say before we hit the road, sport?
Liberalism is a cancer, and the influence of the Enlightenment and the French Revolution needs to be purged from our society in its entirety.
Well said. Well said. I meant like good night, but yeah.
Oh yeah, good night.
Take care, everybody. Have a great week. Get some gaming in. Do some painting, some crafting. Enjoy the weather. Enjoy the great outdoors. Enjoy whatever it is that you love to do. And we'll see you guys real soon. Happy trails, everybody.
Good night.